to the intro.
Habari Entertainment proudly presents Habari Live. Habari Live. From Phoenix, Arizona. And you're listening to the Habari Live podcast. The show that brings you news, sports, and entertainment for people who love HabariEntertainment.com. Here are your hosts, Iesha, Jimmy, and Damon Dipleen Ellison. Let's get it going. We are all the way live.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are thrilled to bring you the latest edition of Habari Live, your go-to podcast for the pulse of Phoenix and beyond. Like always, we are all the way live from Paradise Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Damon Dipleen Ellison and my co-host,
Iesha.
And we will be your go-to guide to the exciting stories and everyday happenings in our vibrant community. Your weekly dose of inspiration, innovation, and insightful conversation. Insightful, not insightful. From the heart of the city. So we will bring you engaging conversations and inspiring stories from remarkable individuals making a difference in our community. So let's get it going. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more Habari Live.
It's Mama Sauce Fish and Chicken, Habari Entertainment sponsor. Let's go get it.
Man, this Mama Soul's Fish and Chicken. I ain't never had a piece of fish that tastes so good. I'm not a shrimp person, but they fried shrimps. It's so good. It's so good. The dressing and the greens and the cornbread.
All right. Today we have a fantastic lineup featuring two incredible guests making waves in their fields. Secondly, we'll be speaking with Ari Danials Bradshaw, Republican candidate running for the Arizona Statehouse. Ari is here to discuss his vision for Arizona, tackling polarized politics, education reform, and standing up for extremism. Also joining us will be Regina and David, Susan, right?
Yep.
Okay. The dynamic owners of Kiwi Juice Bar, known for their fresh, delicious, and health-conscious juice blends. Regina and David had made Kiwi Juice Bar a community favorite, and we're diving into their journey as entrepreneurs, their passion for healthy living, and what it takes to run a successful business in today's competitive market. Let's get ready. So, what's up, guys?
Hey, thanks for having us.
Man, it's so good to see you guys again. It's been a long time. I think it's been at least 4 years, right? At least 4 years, man. It's crazy. And you guys were with us when we used to do the Daniel and Tita podcast. You guys were good and graceful enough to come through and talk to us about your healthy recipes. I remember having you guys you had a great chicken sandwich. Oh my goodness, man. It was unbelievable. You had a burger that was unbelievable. And we've just always loved what you guys were doing and the way you guys hold yourselves and just the aura that you guys put off of just love and acceptance, man. And I know you guys were a big fan of Daniel, and we appreciate everything you guys have done over the years. So tell us how it's been going the last couple of years and how's the Juice Bar been doing and some of the struggles you went through for COVID-19 and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much time you got?
Right.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was back in 2020 when we came on the show with you guys. And I think what you were referring to was when we were doing our vegan meal prep.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we had to pivot because we were shut down. The juice bar, everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was suffering. So we were trying to figure out how to survive.
Right.
So that came about from COVID. Luckily, we, it got us through,
Mm-hmm.
and it lasted a good couple years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We were.
Yeah, move it a little closer to your mouth.
Aim it at your
There you go.
Right
Perfect.
there? Better?
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was. It was a moment where you're like, they closed. She got a phone call
Mm-hmm.
that they're closing the clubs,
Oh my goodness.
and that's it. That's all we had. I
Right.
had lost the job I had. We just kind of looked at each other, and anyways, we got to keep going. So
Right.
we're not gonna
Quit.
lie down. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Whew.
Yeah.
So what gave you guys? I mean, I know it was tough. What gave you the strength to just keep going and to keep making sure that the business is heading in the right direction?
By the grace of God,
Whew. Right.
Our faith kept us going, and just relying and trusting in the Lord
Man.
that He was going to get us through. But we are pretty persistent too,
Yeah.
and we knew that it wasn't the end for us.
Yeah.
But the meal prep idea came as a shock to me, actually. Dave came home one day and just announced that's what we were going to be doing. So I was like, okay. I never really wanted to meal prep
Yeah.
before, but
She didn't. She didn't. She's got enough on her plate as
Right.
it is.
Right.
But one huge plate got closed, and I had people asking, so I just said, "Yeah, we do." And
Right.
I said, "Do we even got all the licenses?" I don't know. I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? Let's just do it. Like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's kind of how
Mhm.
I am. I don't try to make it more difficult than it is.
Right.
Let's just cook, and it'll taste good. We cook good food.
Man, you guys are excellent.
Yeah.
You always. So, what was the main inspiration to get the juice bar going? Was it changing in your diet, or what was it that you guys said, you know what, this is the day?
For the
The
juice bar,
decision, yeah.
it was a whole bunch of different things that were going on at the time.
Yeah.
I was out in California. Dave was closing up everything in Canada
Mhm.
at the time, and we were trying to decide what we were going to do moving forward.
Yeah.
And he was looking at different businesses and concepts and things. And I come from an addictions background and a personal trainer. So I've
Okay.
always been in the helping field
Okay.
as a personal trainer and ex bodybuilder or lifter, I guess you want
Wow.
to call. Never competed. So, but that was my thing. I enjoyed it so much. And I
Wow.
meal prepped a lot. People used to say you should meal prep for everybody. I don't know. I don't want to do that. But yeah, it took a while to come out of that. But Dave had looked at a whole bunch of different businesses. And then you can tell the story from there.
So that's what I was doing back home. I got a business background.
Okay.
So I was trying to find something that would suit the lifestyle. I was over construction.
Mm.
Like,
It's a tough job.
well, like how much dirt, how much
Right.
bricks and blocks are you going to move in
That's
place?
real.
So I've been doing it since I was a kid.
Mm.
I remember 10 years old running a bulldozer.
Phew.
So I was over
That's
that.
amazing.
And I had found a few businesses, and one that caught my eye
Mhm.
was a breakfast and lunch place
Okay.
in Phoenix somewhere. And it was in an area of all office buildings. And so I did my research, and then I'm thinking, okay, I get up early. I'm already used to getting up early, but all they served was breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
And it was within the amount of money we had. We could have did it and still had, when you get into a business, they always say you got to have 3 months operating.
That's real.
So we had that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had proposed that one and the juice bar.
Okay.
I thought, or was it 3 of them I looked at? One was the disposal business.
That's right.
The disposal business was another one I looked at. So it was the restaurant, the disposal business, and the juice bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, which one you want to do? Because I knew I'd still be back home.
Right.
And Regina said, let's do the juice bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and how would you guys, so where did you guys first start? did you first start it out of your home and then got the ability to go to the gym, or you just was able to get the gym straight out the door?
Mm-hmm.
There was another player involved. My brother-in-law.
Okay.
He became involved. He was with Regina in California. So I had started the ball rolling, and then Atif is much more computer savvy than I am. And he kind of took over from that point, getting in all the proper paperwork done,
right?
Getting us to getting the visa approved through the lawyer. He was following the lawyer's instructions, and because that was a big thing. If we can't do nothing without that visa approval,
right?
So we got that visa approval. We had a few interviews to go to, right? The consulates. We had to go to some interviews, and then we got the spot in LA Fitness. And one thing I kept saying is, we're not doing this like shoemakers. We're going to do it right.
That's real.
So we did. And fortunately, all three of us were on that same page. We wanted it to look like a professional, not a little rinky-dink thing. And here we are 10 years later. We're still here.
Man, it's inspiring. That's really inspiring because, starting a business, I've just, we just started this Habari Entertainment 3 years ago. And it's tough, man. To get the funds, to get the loans, to get people to help, to get people to come through. You're depending on the people. And it's, so most of the time, things are in your power, what you can do to move yourself. When you get a job, you can go to college, you can get yourself more knowledge, and it's in your hands. But people have to put their trust in you when you're a business owner. And those are the difficult times, is trying to get people to put their trust in you and come through and feel as though that you have something good and a great product. And word of mouth is number one. So you want everyone to tell 10 people. And it's just tough, and I know you guys, to make it 10 years is amazing. And because I don't know, every day you contemplate, are we doing the right thing? Are we wasting money? Are we wasting time? And I know owning a restaurant is even tougher. So I want to ask, how do you guys come up with some of your smoothie ideas, your drinks? What's the process that you go through to come up with new ideas, or how did you guys feel about making your first menu and everything?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that, because there's been a couple that have come out as a fluke, complete mistake.
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's true, that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, some of our favorite meals are mistakes.
It's usually me. Like, I'll just put something together and then I'll hand it over to you, and you always got the same shake.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to me. I gapped out, put in something different, and then the customer will say, "This is really good," and then I'll go, "Oh crap! Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking." Anyways, if I'll make another one if you want. No, I'm going to keep this one. What should we call it?
Right.
Sometimes it's customers. So I have a customer. He asks for a coffee base, vanilla protein.
Wow.
Is it Wes? Coffee base, is it vanilla? Vanilla protein and coffee beans, a little bit of milk, and a banana.
Wow.
Peanut butter.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Well, anyways, you're paying for it. Okay, I'll do it. Whatever. And I made a little extra and I sipped it. And I was like, this is really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
But who would have thought?
Right.
Yeah. And another one that a customer inspired was spinach, peanut butter, and berries.
Wow.
And so we actually have a Popeyes dessert smoothie now because of him. Yeah. So there's one. Right now we're actually working on updating our menu, and we're going to do plant-based yogurt menus as well. Yeah. So some of it is us. We just mess
Sometimes
around
take
in the
the
kitchen.
ideas,
We love
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing strawberry sundae bowls now, in addition to the acai bowls that we have.
Okay.
And a Nutella acai bowl as well.
Wow, that sounds
So
great.
we've got some new stuff coming.
So the acai bowls have brought things to a different level for us.
Okay.
Definitely.
I must have tasted 50 before she figured out the right way she wanted to make it. And they are delicious. We're hearing from a lot of people that the acai bowls are.
Yeah.
are the way to go.
And then we also have juice packages too. So if
Okay.
people want to do a cleanse, or if they just want like one juice or wellness shots, we've got that as well.
Oh, okay.
A variety of them.
Yeah, man, you guys offer such great products, and you
Thank
guys, like
you.
I said, you guys are great people, and always trying to connect with the people of the community. Tell everyone which LA Fitness you guys are located at, so they can know how to come and find you if they need you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the South Chandler location, so across from Hamilton High School.
Okay.
In the Target Plaza. And actually, interesting fun fact, they're opening a Trader Joe's right beside us.
Wow.
So it's going to be super busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, right across from Hamilton High and Arcotillo and Arizona Avenue.
Man. And yeah, that should definitely get you guys some traction, because the people who come there, they usually are more health conscious and everything, and that's definitely something that should pair up well for you guys.
We're definitely hoping for that.
Yeah,
yes.
man. Definitely. Yeah. Well, hey, we really appreciate you guys coming through and talking with us. We've been friends with you guys for a while, so we hope nothing but the best for you. And definitely, I hope you guys, continue to have great success. Like I said, can you tell the people what's your location? Tell them how to get in contact with you in case they want to, have some questions or anything like that.
Sure. We are on social media. Kiwi Juice Bar is the handle, and kiwijuicebar.com. We have a website. You can order directly from there. You can send us your questions. We are responsive within a day or so. And yeah, you can Google us and find out how to get to us as well. We're open 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, we're closed Sundays.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, hey guys, thank you, Regina and David, for coming through. We really appreciate you guys. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna be back with Ari Danials Bradshaw and more from Habari Live. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Habari Live. Now we're going to go to a exclusive interview. We had to redo this interview because last week for some reason we fell apart. I'm not going to say why. we just fell apart. So we're gonna welcome Ari Danials Bradshaw back in the house. He is a Republican running for a House of Arizona, right?
Arizona House of Representatives.
Right, representative, definitely. I'm mumbling and everything else. But he is going to talk to us a little bit about what he's going to do for the state and a little bit about his politics and everything and his background. So welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me back, man. I appreciate you.
Man, we appreciate you being patient. We appreciate you coming through and talking with us, man. I learned a lot talking to you last week. And I wanted to thank you, man, because some of the things that you were talking about, I wanted to make sure I went back and just did a little bit of knowledge updates myself, so I know some of these things, because some of the things you were talking about, I didn't know myself. So you've positioned yourself as a unifying force in Arizona politics, especially against polarization.
Yep.
And what specific steps will you take to heal the division and foster collaboration in the state of Arizona?
I think that's such an important thing that we need to be doing as just entirely as a state and as a country right now. Right now, too often we have politicians who latch on to these hyper politicized ideals on the left or the right.
Yep.
And so what we have, for example, in my race, we have someone trying to label me misinformed voters as to think that I'm this stereotype that's of the Republican Party, which is just something which I really got involved to change. We need to stop stereotyping our opponents. We need to start treating each other with respect. And just as I saw this great video with former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who was talking to a Democratic college student in trying to really find common ground and say, hey, look, we have so much more in common with each other than we disagree. So let's figure out what we agree on policy-wise and what we disagree with policy-wise.
That's real.
And then try to work together to bridge that gap and figure out what the actual issues that we're talking about are, not subtracting all the crazy rhetoric. And, I've done this in the past through working with legislators on both sides of the aisle on negotiating bipartisan election bills, on working on their videos, on their websites, and really trying my hardest to build these bridges with people, regardless of the letters by their name, because the letters by people's names really, at the end of the day, don't matter.
It doesn't.
And so I think another thing we need to be willing to do is to call out our parties on the left and the right when they engage in, harmful things to both, people who believe in that party and also to people who don't. When we have, for example, Republican Party with people going and supporting candidates who have Confederate flags in their stores and are stolen valor and calling their opponents DEI candidates.
Man,
we should have our party say, hey, we don't support this stuff. We universally condemn it. And the people supporting it are not welcome to be leaders within our movement.
Man.
And so we need to be willing to call those things out. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle we're from. If we see things that aren't right, we can't be willing to just say, oh, well, they're going to vote for bills that I like, and thus I have to be silent about it. We have to leave that attitude behind. That attitude is part of how we've gotten to the point where we are today, where we have such a partisan divide. And that's also part of why I believe we see independence growing at such a rapid rate across the country.
Rapidly. And Arizona is one of the leaders in that.
We are.
We have a lot of independent voters who do not want to pick a side because they think both sides are trash. And that's just how people think, man.
Yeah.
And, I think that you do a good job of trying to toe that line. And it's a hard thing to do nowadays, man, because people are so polarized. They're so partisan. They're so caught up in their ideologies. They don't know how to leave that. And many people I was seeing online were calling you a rhino. And I saw that a couple times just looking through your comments. And what do you feel about that description of calling you a rhino, because you want to be open to others?
It's for people who don't know, definitely not me. What does it mean to call somebody a rhino?
Republican in name only.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, because you have, at the same time that you have people calling me rhino, you also have my opponent labeling me as far right. And so it just muddies the water. It's like, what do these terms even mean? And I think most people will see these terms that have turned into buzzwords, and they're going to look beyond them and try to look at, okay, what does this person actually believe? This concept of, if a person isn't, and I actually chatted with one of my PCs about this, there's a difference between being hard right and far right. There's people who are hard right, which are people who are, hey, we need to support the party no matter what. And then there's the far right, which is the crazy loons and whatnot.
Exactly.
I think that explaining to them, like, hey, look, we have a two-party system. And so we have big tents. On the Democrat side, we have everything from progressives to neoliberals to communists to, everything in between, business Dems. And then on the Republican side, we have classical liberals, we have conservatives, we have neoconservatives. We have so many different types of ideologies which fit into it. And so when we have in Arizona the history of people like Barry Goldwater, who were socially pretty libertarian and then economically very conservative,
Definitely.
we have a history in this state of supporting people who are more bipartisan, willing to work across the aisle, and willing to really try and ignore all the noise and focus on what matters to the people. I think that's one of the things where I didn't agree with everything he did, but John Wayne listened to the people of Arizona, not the party.
They definitely did.
And that's something where we need to bring back that attitude of listening to our constituents, not whatever's happening over in DC at the DNC and the RNC.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's we talked about it last time, man. That McCain clip of him clearing up the person that Obama was a great person. He's not a Muslim. He's a Christian, and he's a great person and a great father. That was a beautiful clip, man. And it really just showed, encapsulated exactly who John McCain was. And a lot of people on the right nowadays do not. They call you a McCain Republican. So it's kind of a weird environment nowadays.
Which is weird because McCain, a lot of his policies federally are, more hawkish than say the ones I would say. When in my main ad that I've had running, I say, I'm a Ron Paul Republican. And I say that not because I agree with all the tactics used by Ron Paul supporters all the time, but because I agreed with the general concept of let's try to be peaceful around the world. And let's try to go fix our spending problems through common sense cuts and common sense balancing of our budget, which is something where too often we have people running on culture war issues and they ignore the fact that the underlying job of our representatives at both the state level and the federal levels, we have to go manage the taxes that we're getting in and make the budget, approve the budget. That's something where we've really forgotten that. Now we're almost to the point of no return federally. And in the state, luckily, we do have a balanced budget. We were constitutionally required to pass one. Doesn't always work out that way.
Right.
But this year, things turned out pretty well. Last year, we had a big deficit. And so it's incumbent upon us as the representatives to advocate for the things we need in spending for our community, and then to balance it out by saying, hey, look, maybe that $20 million for the rodeo we could get through private investment instead of through taxpayer funds.
Right.
But those are all things which we've kind of ignored. And I think too often the conversation in politics has shifted towards things which, for example, I got a questionnaire from AZ Central.
Okay.
And they asked a number of questions. And one of them was, who are you voting for one of the offices? And I was thinking to myself, what does it matter who I'm voting for this particular office to the voters? It has nothing to do with how I'm going to lead as a representative. It has nothing to do with anything. There was a question about a federal position, so it doesn't even have anything to do with how I would interact with other things in the state.
Right.
I think too often we are looking for distractions in order to draw eyes to something rather than to actually inform voters about what it is that the representatives do, what their job is. We actually sent out a mailer for some of my candidates that I'm helping out. We sent out a mailer informing them on what is on their ballot. And so we'd send out in the lowest turnout district in the state because so many people there, they probably have no idea what a U.S. senator versus state senator is, what a congressman does versus a representative. And so we want to explain and tell people, hey, in very simple terms, this is what the things on your ballot do. We need to have informed voters. We don't teach this in our schools.
No, we do not. And one thing that I feel as though I'm an informed voter, but there are times that when I'm picking my vote that I see judges that are on the list, and for some reason we never see which way this judge leans. We don't see any of his cases, which way he went on cases. We just see the name. I think that we need a little bit more explanation exactly what these judges fall on, what they care about, which side they are on some of these things, some of these cases.
I think,
and I don't think that information is out there enough.
I think in regards to the judges that do be on the ballots, I think it would be very beneficial if they would have to run a campaign similar to a normal state candidate or representative.
So they're supposed to be non-political. And so to inherently politicize a judge, for example, one of the greatest examples of how they're non-political is, let's take Clint Bullock, the independent on our Supreme Court. He's up for attention right now. He's the only independent on the court. Clint made a legal decision based off of the technicalities in the law to go reinstate that 1864 abortion ban. Clint disagreed with that abortion ban. However, because of technicalities in the law on how the repeal of Roe v. Wade affected the law we passed under the Ducey era and then affected that 1864 law.
Right.
He said, hey, I don't necessarily agree with this law, but making the legal correct decision, doing my job as an independent jurist, I have to say that 2020 or law, whatever passed under Ducey, wasn't passed the correct way.
Okay.
And thus the 1864 law is actually the prevalent one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, and here's an example of his independent judiciary. His wife, who shares his opinion on the law not being good, Shauna Bullock, she was one of the 2 Republicans in the Senate to vote with the Democrats to repeal that law.
Okay.
And so it's difficult because let's say we told every voter that Clint Bullock, he made one of the decisions to go bring back that 1864 law.
Right.
Would voters then think that he was in favor of it?
Most would think that he was against
and he wasn't,
it, right?
Well, he's against it, but he voted to bring it back.
Right, exactly.
Because he made a judicial decision, not a political decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so then to politicize the race, we're already seeing the race being politicized a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's a really difficult one where I do like the idea of having retention, but I don't know what the best route forward is. I don't think it's by politicizing the races.
Okay.
But I also don't. We need to figure out some way to inform people as well over here's what their job is, here's what they voted on, and just because they voted a certain way doesn't necessarily mean they agree with the outcome.
True.
It's they're there to make a legal decision and to interpret the law. So if the law says one thing and they don't like what the law says, they can't change the law.
Right.
They can say, Clint can tell his wife, hey, you're a lawmaker. Can you go vote this way to change the law? But he can't himself change the law.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest issues we have because the highest court in America is very politicized right now.
Very.
So it's people are very, very upset about the direction of the courts. And I think a lot of people are just more worried about knowing which judges are going in and how they feel about these things that's very pertinent to the rest of us. And figuring out a way to inform people. Maybe if they had a website just to show some of the reasons why they went the directions they went on the cases that they did have.
We have the clean election system in Arizona, which hosts debates, and they also allow candidates in districts where it's difficult to get funding. If you get X amount of fives, you can then get taxpayer funds, run a campaign for only state level, not congressional or for federal. But what I'm wondering, and they also do a voter guide that they send out to everyone every year. I'm wondering if clean elections could perchance do something more informative on the judges. That's saying the legislature could say, hey, we'll give you guys, the leeway or whatever you guys need in order to go then add this informative section about judges. I think that's something incumbent upon probably the legislature to then say, hey, this is a need from the voters in voter education. How can we bring that to the people? So a great example of a voter education bill that didn't pass last year, hopefully we can get a variation of it passed next year, is there was a bill to add a single line of text onto the ballot envelopes. And it would have said, if you turn your ballot in on the Friday before Election Day or later, it will be counted late.
Okay.
That way, a lot of people don't know what late earlies are. Late earlies are those mail-in ballots that you don't mail in, but that you turn in after the Friday before Election Day.
Those were discussed the last election.
Those are counted after Election Day. And people get all up in arms like, oh my gosh, why is it taking so long to count? They have to verify the signatures. They have to verify so many things of those ballots.
Everything, baby.
So if we informed the voters and said, hey, if you turn in your ballot, if you turn in your mail-in ballot in person after this date, it'll be counted late. A lot of people would say, oh, I'm going to go mail in my ballot before then, or I'm going to turn it in before then. I forget what the reason was it didn't pass, but something like that's a voter education bill where the people said, hey, this is a informative issue. And it's causing a lot of, misconceptions about elections, the fact that we don't have this information out there. So how can we best strategize to bring this information to the people? And so that's I think it's a great idea, and it's a matter of how do we best formulate it into a bill. I think it would probably have to be something regarding allowing clean elections to then get it out to people.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. You stated that you opposed any bill banning abortion and believe that it should be decided by the votes.
Yeah.
How will you advocate for women's reproduction rights while respecting the choices of your constituents?
So that's the ultimate thing, is just we said at the end there, is respecting the choices of the constituents. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, the decision was sent back to the states. Now, different states have taken different approaches. In Arizona, the voters got a record number of signatures on a ballot initiative to then put an amendment to guarantee abortion in Arizona. Regardless of what people think about that ballot initiative, if it passes, that is in the Constitution. That's the law of the land. And it would be unconstitutional for anyone to go about changing that. Any bill introduced to ban abortion after it is changed by that, and we have the VRA in Arizona, which means if something's passed by ballot measure, the legislature can't touch it. So this notion that any legislator can go in and ban abortion is crazy. And I think any attempts to do so are going to be challenged. And I'm going to be one of the first people to say, hey, guys, look, this is not, if you want to go change the laws and make them more pro-life or more pro-choice, either way, the way to do it is no longer through the legislature.
Yeah.
The way to do it is through convincing 50+% of the population that your idea is the idea that should be the law of the land. This is an issue which for far too long we have attached to the legislators.
Yeah.
It's the number one single issue voter issue in the nation.
Is.
And so when you have people making decisions on legislators where their number one goal is the budget and laws about minutia concerning education, resource management, etc., and they're making their vote based off of abortion, we're ignoring so many of the other issues. I think it's a great thing that this issue has been decoupled from the legislature.
Okay.
I think it's a great thing that it is in the hands of the people because now, funny enough, the one political rally that Kanye West ever gave, of all people, he gave a rally, I forget when it was, in like 2020 or something, in South Carolina. And in it, he was saying something along the lines of, look, if you want to change the abortion laws, change the culture first. You can't change the laws before changing the culture.
That's real.
And this idea that politicians can force their way through, it's just going to backfire.
Yeah.
So I want voters to know, regardless of what my opponent's saying, I will not introduce any abortion bans. If the people want to see any changes in the law concerning pro-choice or pro-life, that has to come from the people.
Okay.
And it should not come from the legislature. We have the VRA in Arizona, which means that after this November, it can't come from the legislature. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a great thing, man. And no, that was one of the things that I really admire about you because, like I said, man, most people are so partisan and they're I'm a Republican, so it doesn't matter where you stand on this situation. All that matters is what the people say. And to keep fighting over it and battling over it, it's not good for us trying to move forward as a people. So you've received death threats from the far right groups due to your stance against extremism.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated and committed to your values in such a hostile political environment?
I got involved in so many ways because I wasn't happy with the direction of either party in this country. I wasn't happy with the direction of our politics. I wasn't happy with seeing the rise of far left and far right stuff in general. And so deciding to run has been eye-opening. Every single day I get some sort of attacks, whether it's death threats or otherwise, from the far right, occasionally from far left folk, but it's much more often from the far right groyper folk. And it's eye-opening in a lot of ways. And I think post October 7th, having announced my campaign on October 9th, a lot of it stems from the fact that it's a Jewish Republican running for office. It's a young dude running for office. The last thing that these people on the far right want to see is not only a Jew in power, but a Jew represent the Republican Party, because that to them is, oh my gosh, we're losing. They want to go take the party in another direction.
Man.
I don't want it to go that direction. That's part of the reason I got involved, is to stop it from going that direction.
Yeah,
the last thing I would ever want to see is the Nick Fuentes types take control.
Right.
I will do everything in my power to stop them from taking control of the party and to make sure that we bring it back to a more classically liberal direction, the same direction that our founders wanted it to be in, where we stay out of your pocketbook and out of your bedroom and try to guarantee maximum liberty for people while preserving your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and property in that order.
Man, it's missed. We discussed it again. Like I said, man, I used to be able to talk to Republicans, most of them. Nowadays, we're so caught up in DEI hire and all this smoke and mirrors instead of talking about the actual foundations of the parties. Taking it forward, man, talking about small government and big government, talking about ways to get the money flowing and how we're going to spend the taxes. Those are the things that we should be talking about instead of fighting about ignorant stuff, Haitians eating dogs. And we have to stop this stuff, man. We want to talk about moving the country forward instead of being so divisive and so just mean out here, man. It's really been ridiculous. And then, I was watching this thing about Piers Brosnan. Is it Brosnan? Something. Piers Morgan, I think.
Morgan.
There you go. He had a couple people on, and they were talking about trying to change the rhetoric. And I'm like, it's hard to change the rhetoric when we have both sides say crazy stuff. But we have one guy that likes to say a lot of crazy stuff. And you can't blame everything on the other side because of the crazy things that you like to say.
Right.
I just thought that it was crazy that they was blaming the other side, but we're not going to go into that. But anyway, so education is a core focus of your platform. How specifically would you approach reforming or eliminating the the aggregated expenditure limit, the AEL,
Yeah.
to ensure better funding for Arizona public schools.
So I'm the only candidate in this race who went to Arizona public schools. I'm the only candidate who went to school in Arizona, period, in this race. And so I have actually been to a lot of our public schools. I then got a scholarship to our private schools that better fit my learning style and values. And I have said from day one of this campaign that we need to ensure that every child has access to quality education options, no matter their income or their zip code. Too often, education is decided by what zip code you live in, and not just the quality of the education in your public schools, but also the options you receive in regards to what charters, privates, online schools, etc., are available and how accessible they are for the families there.
Right.
So I have also long said that we need to reform, or just as you say, reform or remove the aggregated expenditure limit. Every single year, we have a fight over how we're going to fund public schools, and that fight begins with the AEL. The AEL is an arbitrary limit that we put on our schools decades ago. It has a arbitrary percent raise every single year that has nothing to do with the inflation rate. And so we need to get rid of it or reform it to make sense with and tie it to some more substantial numbers or values. Because the way that it's working now, it doesn't work. It starts partisan fights. We get news stories every year. And what winds up happening is we always wind up raising it. And then the Republicans who oppose it always look bad because what are you doing?
Right.
And so I'm a firm believer we need to fully fund our education. We need to make sure our teachers receive a pay raise as well. The plan which I have seen, which makes the most sense right now, and I'm totally open in plans which make more sense, but the plan which I've seen that makes the most sense for a teacher pay raise is the Pay Teachers First plan. And that plan involves taking new monies through our state land trust fund. We're not selling more state land than we ever would. It's not a new sale of land. It's not a new tax. It's just the monies which currently or in the future are going to come in through the state land trust fund. Applying those to a universal teacher pay raise. What this would do based off of the last budget analysis is it would bring us from around 48th, 49th teacher pay in this country to somewhere in the 20s. It'd bring us all the way to median for the country.
That would be excellent.
That'd be excellent. And that's a start. We want to have the best teachers and we want to incentivize the best teachers to work here. So I would love to work towards having the best policies for teachers in the country because I want our kids to have the best education in the country. But it starts with figuring out how do we get the money to the teachers. And the issue, and I think a lot of voters need to understand kind of the issue that we've had with trying to raise teacher pay in the past is that the legislature would get requests from the teachers in the school board saying, we want a teacher pay raise. Can you please give the school boards more money so we can do that? So we would give them a 15%, 20%, whatever it is raise. And they'd say, we promise we're going to use this on teacher pay. Well, a school board, they can vote however they want to. And so what would wind up happening is some school boards would give more than the raise and others would give less. And over time, over decades of this happening, we have school boards where some teachers are receiving way less or way more than teachers in other districts. So the Pay Teachers First plan, what it tries to do is take the concept of teacher pay raises out of the school board and say, hey, look, focus on all the other things the school board has to handle. Let's let the legislature handle teacher pay raises from now on. That way you can equally apply it and make sure that we aren't treating some teachers in some districts better than others. And granted, there is different pay rates for different areas, some areas of higher cost of living. Those are all things which can be worked out. But this notion that we've continuously given them raises after raises after raises and had promises broken, that we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to change. We have to make a change in how we go about teacher pay raises. This is the best idea I've heard so far. I'm totally open to working with people on my side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle to do better ideas in the future. But let's get something for our teachers because right now they're suffering.
That's real, man. I agree 100%. So we got a few more questions here. We're at the 44 mark. We'll go ahead and end this out. So you've made it your opponent's campaign has reportedly spent thousands on attack ads against you. How do you maintain a positive and issue-focused campaign while being targeted by negative smear tactics?
It's crazy. It's really just kind of proven to me that, wow, it's not just that I got involved in this. I want to represent my people, fight for these issues and fight the nastiness I see on both sides. But it's my opponent is kind of the embodiment of what I'm running against.
That's real.
It's the lies, it's the smears, it's the negativity. It's the fact that, her one ad that she's running on every social media network, etc. First half is look at me. And the second half is look at how bad he is. I think people are so over the negativity. And when I talk to folk, I haven't found anyone who I've talked to who's like, oh yeah, I believe what she says, or oh yeah, that's a convincing ad. I think people see through it. When I knock on doors, people are excited to chat with somebody who, approaches them and it cares about the issues. And I knock on doors that have Democrat signs and stickers on their cars, because to me, it's not about, as I was saying earlier, it's not about what letter you have by your name. You have 2 votes for State House, and I want to earn one of everyone's 2 votes. It doesn't matter if someone's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't want to be seen as someone who's fighting just for my party. I want to be seen as someone who's talking to the people and trying to fight for the people, which is, we have missed that. I don't remember the last time we've had a statewide politician who is really along those lines. So her attacks, it's sad because it's, I wake up and I get, messages from people saying, oh, look at this mailer I got, or look at this thing. And it's sad to see that she just has no regard whatsoever for the truth, and, trying to label me as a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, okay, well, the real conspiracy theories are the ones being peddled by the ADLCC against me. So it's just motivated me to go further. I believe the people see through the lies, and I believe the people want positivity. And so that's why I've stayed committed to being positive. I'm not going to lie about her. I'm not going to go low on her. All I'm going to say about her is she's lying about me. She's not from here. And so I don't think she understands that the people of Arizona, we're not into that.
Yeah. Well, we love truth. We want to see the truth.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you've done a good job, man, staying out of that. I see your ads on YouTube. I see your ads, and everything's about positivity, and it's about bringing the state forward and making new decisions for tomorrow. And that's what I definitely like about everything that you're doing, man. And like I said, you inspired me to want to talk to you, because I just saw this. It's so refreshing to have someone out here trying to not get into the same old mold that everyone else is getting into. We've had almost 10 years of this crazy divisiveness, and to have someone come out and be focused on trying to bring positivity to the legislator is definitely something that I really, really love, man. And I want to give you another hand for that, bro.
Incumbent upon us to be the changes that we want to see in the world. And it doesn't matter, myself on the Republican side, yourself as a liberal. That's something where we need to be able to say, hey, look, the labels and the terms we prescribed ourselves, it's really time to move beyond that in this state. It is, parties change every couple of years. 15 years ago, the Republicans and Democrats were different. 15 years from now, they're going to be different. And building relationships with people and what matters to them, that lasts forever. The issues that people care about, those don't change. But how all the national rhetoric, that changes.
All the time, man. All the time. It used to be totally different 8 to 10 years ago, and what was being talked about. So this is the last question before we let you go, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you coming back through and talking to us, man. We appreciate your time. What would you say are the most pressing issues facing your district today? And what is your plan to tackle them in your first 100 days if elected at office?
So the legislature, likely it's supposed to only be 100 days. So hopefully we can get things done then. My campaign's been focused on primary issues of water, education, economy, public safety, and addiction. And so with water, we need to equalize the 100-year water guarantee to make sure that developments of for sale homes and for rent homes have the same requirements. Right now, developers are incentivized to build for rent homes instead of for sale homes. That's hurting our supply.
It's hurting.
It's hurting the next generation's ability to afford homes. And it's also hurting our environment in terms of our water supply. We also need to have a statewide water market. So that way, if we have overflowing aquifers and depleted aquifers, we can sell the water from the overflowing aquifer to the depleted one instead of having to just put it down the river.
There you go.
It's just a matter of getting red tape out of the way and fixing a broken system. And then with education, we need to reform the AEL, protect options for children no matter what background they come from. That way, people can receive the choice that best fits their learning style and values. And that goes for teachers, students, parents. Teachers need choices too. Teachers shouldn't be forced into a one-size-fits-all or told what exactly they have to teach. So there's options we need to fix in that area too. Raising teacher pay, of course, incentivizing better people to the profession. And then when it comes to our economy, what is most important about our economy is we have a very bustling, growing economy in Arizona.
Yes, we do.
The biggest fear that I have is if we were to lose the legislature, some of the bills which have been proposed, 12% raises on corporate taxes, bans on mining in some of Arizona's areas, which supply a lot of the resources for our electric cars or for our electronics. And so there's certain economic things where we want to maintain the growth that we are on, and we don't want to go backwards or to scare off a lot of the companies which are starting here or which have moved here. And then with public safety, I'm the only candidate alongside my running mate who's endorsed by the Arizona Police Association in this race. The police trust us because they know that We are dedicated to making sure that we get lower response times. We focus on community issues, that we fund training for police to actually respond to issues in our community. I think for so long when we grew up, police were focusing on the wrong things. And it wasn't because the police were bad people. It was because the legislature gave them bad laws to go enforce. We need to change those laws and make sure that we are prosecuting and arresting people who are committing actual crimes that are harmful to our community, and that we're not pulling over and arresting a guy and putting him in jail for doing mushrooms.
Yeah, that's real.
And then the final one with addiction is there's so many different types of addiction in our community. My father shot himself in front of my sister and I when I was 13 years old. He was addicted to opioids. I lost my cousin to heroin shortly after that. The addiction crisis in our community is horrifying, and it's getting worse, and it's different whether people are addicted to illegal drugs or legal drugs. Right now, organizations aren't allowed to help people on the streets too much besides giving them a pamphlet and saying, come to us if you want help. We need to take a serious look at the different types of addiction and the different types of homelessness, the different types of people suffering in our community, and come up with different solutions to address the different problems being affected or being faced by them.
What you say, babe?
That's so crazy that you bring that up, because I currently work for an organization who does help people with different types of mental health issues and substance abuse issues. And they also work with people who are homeless and have different types of needs for homelessness and have different types of needs for housing programs. So that's crazy. So I have a question. Like, is there a way that we could somehow incorporate the organizations that do work with crises like that and are able to maybe send someone out to go pick up a transient person or someone who may be, on a park bench for whatever their reason may be,
more of a
outreach
to the public.
Right?
So there's current laws which prevent some of that, and that's some things which we need to change. Actually, I was chatting with Sam Stone, who ran for city council last year, and he didn't win his race. Kevin Robinson, another good dude, won that race. But so Sam, what he was explaining is we currently actually don't allow organizations to go in and offer that direct help or to pick people up that way, and so we need to figure out what we have to change in order to allow that to happen. And then as well, in regards to incorporating it more in with state functions. Right now, I took 2 tours of facilities to help adults with mental disabilities, Valley Life, and another one as well.
They're a really good one. I see their work a lot.
They're great. And so a big thing that they always say is, hey, look, we aren't part of the government, but we receive funds from the feds and from the from municipalities through the state in order to carry out some of our functions. So how can we...
that's kind of how the organization that I work for operates as well. So I was just wondering if there was a way that, because as of
that's
now...
for us to go work on and to go figure out with you guys.
Exactly. Because right now, mostly everything is, to my understanding, based off of a petition. So someone in the community, a family member, a friend, a coworker... someone that's close to this person would have to either petition and send it in through the company just by calling the crisis line or like petitioning the court that this person needs
something where
help.
I would love to. So we have different types of hearings which we can have in the legislature, and this is honestly an issue which is so expansive and has been so unaddressed by our legislature that I would love to go have, just as we had last year, we had a whole committee, a special committee for anti-Semitism on college campuses. And we brought in tons of speakers. We had legislators from both sides of the aisle in the Senate and the House. We should go have a serious committee hearing on addressing this issue and bring in stakeholders from your organization, bring in stakeholders from other organizations doing similar things. And we should say, what are the needs? What are you seeing? What can we do from the state level to address this? And maybe that's what we have these committees for, is for that brainstorming, to have that communication line, because so often the needs of the community, they don't go addressed unless we make that conscious effort to go connect the dots and bring them together. So that's something where I'm totally down to have a committee hearing and bring in your organization and other organizations to figure out what can the legislature do to address these issues.
Yeah, man, talk to your leaders and see if they will be interested, because the outreach has to happen. just riding around the
Just
city, man,
having
you see
the
people
program or the
suffering.
resource
Yeah.
available
You see
for
people suffering just riding
100%.
around. You
100%.
you see them at bus stops. You see them on the corners. You see these people, and I wish that there was somebody that was just coming through, just making sure these people are okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like we have that that process in place, and I think that's what's hurting a lot of these people that need help. They don't sometimes want to go out for help, man. You know, these people have pride, even though they may be at the bottom and they're hurting. Their pride still won't let them do a lot of these things, man, to make that phone call, or they say to themselves, "I'm not crazy, I don't need it." And sometimes we need someone from the outside to say, "Yes, you do, and we're going to give that to you." And I know it's tough, but we do need to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man,
100%. 100%.
for sure. All right, Ari, we really appreciate you coming through,
Thank you.
man, and spending some time with us and talking about your processes and your politics and everything that you're going to bring forward if you get elected. We really hope good luck for you. And we get
Thank you,
my
sir.
ballot, I probably will be voting for you, bro,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
because I've never voted for a Republican in my whole life. But you know what, man, I like you. I like what you're talking about, and we agree on a lot of things. And yeah, man, I'll definitely be making that move for you.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate it.
we want to thank you again, bro. Let's take a quick commercial, Ash, and we'll be back with more Habari Live.
Habari News Weekly with Damon Dipling Ellison. Sponsored by
Mama Soul's Fish and Chicken, where every bite is like a warm hug from home. So, welcome to Habari News Weekly, brought to you by Habari Entertainment. I'm your host, Damon Dipling Ellison. Like always, I am joined by the dynamic duo. We are the dynamic duo, and Iesha, to bring you the latest and insightful discussions on the pressing topics of the week. This week, we have from politics to pop culture. We've got you covered with all the news and need to know delivered with wit, wisdom, and a dash of entertainment. So sit back, relax, and get ready to dive into the headlines that matter right here on Habari News Weekly. I don't know where this girl is at, but the number one thing we have going this week is I know that we want to talk about what was it? What was the main topic? Oh, we were talking about school shootings. There we go. school threats. We've had issues with school threats throughout the month. You know how to do it. There you go. Yeah, media one. So we've had school threats, man, all over the country. We've had a guy, I think 11-year-old kid was arrested here for 12 school shooting threats. We had them in St. Louis. They had some, and a couple other
Virginia's
places.
even had
Virginia.
some. Ohio has had some.
Shh, come on, baby. Shh, be quiet. All right. Um. So what do we?
All right,
Do
so
you have your thing?
in going in with the school threats,
Mhm.
the teenage boy that was making threats in Arizona has been arrested
Okay.
for allegedly making threats to a
Mhm.
dozen Valley schools. Police officials say that they were made aware of the threats of a mass shooting through social media, which involved 12 Valley schools on September 12th.
Mhm.
But due to him being a minor, his name has not been released.
Oh.
He was booked into juvenile community corrections on multiple felonies,
Mm-mm.
including terrorist threats and computer tampering.
Mm-mm.
So do keep in mind that these kids that are going around doing these threats, making these threats, even though to those kids it may just be a simple prank.
Right.
It may just be, oh well, we're just gonna do a prank just to see if we can get out of school for the day.
Yeah.
Um,
We understand that.
but they're not taking them as pranks or hoaxes anymore.
No.
The municipalities, the communities, they're taking these
Mhm.
threats very
Very
serious now.
seriously.
So kids may, and there may be more kids or more teens that
Yeah.
do have these charges that this teenage boy here in Arizona
Mhm.
has gotten for these threats.
Yeah.
Um,
So, well, I think it was Thursday, September 12th. The Phoenix police
Yeah.
were notified of the mass shooting threat. It was
Mhm.
posted on social media, targeting a dozen Valley schools.
Mhm.
Detectives were immediately assigned, and the schools were notified. As a result, thousands of students stayed home in fear. Later, police arrested a teenage boy who admitted to making the threats on a dare.
yeah.
He was dared to do it.
Mhm.
So, like you, did you get your script thing?
I think I might have. Let me double check because I didn't get that pulled up. My bad.
The Phoenix police did emphasize on their statement that this is a zero tolerance issue. Anyone involved in making threats, even as a joke, will be arrested, face felony charges, and could be held financially responsible for the cost of the investigation. Now, that's crazy. This isn't an isolated incident. School threats have been on the rise, not just here in Phoenix, but across the country. Last Friday, Prescott Valley police dealt with the potential threat involving Liberty Traditional School. Just the day before, 6 juveniles were arrested for making threats in Mesa and Apache Junction, and 2 more teens were arrested in Buckeye last week.
And that's where we come in today. We're asking the big question: why are these threats happening? What's driving this behavior, and how is social media playing a role?
Mm-hmm.
And are we dealing with copycat threats, pranks gone wrong, or are these kids just literally just trying to do this for some other sinister reason?
Oh man, yeah. I can't say, man. It's just sad that these kids, man, is going to be caught up in this mess. Let's start with the most obvious question of why. Why are the teens across the country and right here in Phoenix making these kinds of threats? Aisha, what do you think is your contributing and to this disturbing trend?
Well, there are a few key factors that we need to consider.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, the role of social media cannot be ignored. These platforms allow rumors, jokes, and dares to spread rapidly, and teens may feel a sense of anonymity
Yeah, anonymity.
online,
Mm-hmm.
which emboldens them to make threats without fully understanding the consequences. In this Phoenix case, the teenager admitted that the threat was made on a dare, but even a so-called dare can lead to devastating outcomes, especially in his case now that he's facing felony
Right,
charges.
right. It's a dangerous combination of peer pressure and the instant reach of social media. What may start as a prank or a joke could quickly escalate into something far more serious. So, how do you think these ties into the larger conversation around school violence and fear in today's society?
Well, there's definitely a heightened sense of anxiety around school safety. The school shootings have sadly become a recurring event in the U.S., and the fear that trickles down into everyday life. These teens, who are often still figuring out their moral
Hmm.
boundaries, might not even understand how traumatic these threats are, especially in a climate where school violence feels too real.
Hmm. So, the consequences of making these threats are severe. In Phoenix, the police emphasize that even if the threat isn't real, those involved will face real consequences. Now, that's crazy, man. Both, but what does that look like?
Well, the charges for making terroristic threats are felony level.
Wow.
That means that these teens, even if they thought it was a joke, could be facing years in prison and hefty fines. There's also a financial responsibility for resources used during the investigation. And we're talking about detectives, school closures, emergency responses. All of these things are very costly. And once a criminal record is involved, it can affect your future employment, education opportunities, and so much more.
Let's not forget the emotional toll on the community, man. Imagine being a parent who doesn't know if your child is safe at school. These threats create real panic, man. And even if no physical harm is done, in this case, 6,000 students miss school across 12 schools. The ripple effect goes beyond just legal consequences, it impacts the entire community.
So that brings us to the role of social media.
Hmm.
You mentioned that earlier, and it's crucial that we dive deeper into that. The spread of misinformation, reposting threats, and amplifying fear is all too common online. Police have urged people not to repost or share these threats as it
Hmm.
complicates their
Right,
investigations.
exactly.
But what can be done to control
Mm.
this?
That's the challenge. In today's world, information moves faster than ever. Teens who see a threat online might not stop to consider the consequences of sharing it. What we need is a digital literacy, teaching both students and adults how to navigate social media responsibly.
Absolutely. And not just about preventing reposts, it's about encouraging a culture where reporting suspicious activity is the norm.
Hmm.
Instead of spreading fear, people should be alerting authorities and school officials, letting them handle the situation. So, like, if you see something, say something.
That's real.
That's a real live
Hmm.
philosophy to live by.
Yep. So, where do we go from here? How do we prevent these threats from happening in the first place? And what can schools, parents, and the community do to stop this before it escalates?
Well, I think the solution starts with education.
Mm.
We need to talk to kids early about the seriousness of making threats, even as a joke. Parents, school, and law enforcement all need to work together to create open lines of communication. If teens understand the real world consequences,
Right.
both legal and emotional, perhaps we can prevent some of these incidences in the future.
Yeah, so, schools also need to be prepared with clear protocols for threats, as well as mental health resources for students. Many of these threats come from places of fear, stress, or confusion. Addressing the root causes like bullying or isolation could prevent these situations from escalating.
And on a broader level, we need to reduce the culture of fear in
Hmm.
our schools.
Yeah, man.
We need to active shooter drills, lockdowns, constant news of violence that can take a toll on young minds. We need more than just reactive measures. We need proactive approaches to mental health
Hmm.
safety.
It's clear that the issue of school threats is complicated with far reaching consequences. But through education, community engagement, and responsible use of social media, we can work toward a solution. We'll continue to keep an eye on this story as it develops.
And that's right, Damon. And to our listeners, if you see something suspicious, do not spread it online. Just report it.
Mm-hmm.
We all need to have a part that we are playing in our children's lives, not just in our children's lives, but in our communities' lives as well. So we need to make sure that we're keeping our schools and our communities safe.
So yeah, thanks for watching Habari Live. You make sure to try to keep everyone safe. You know how I feel about the guns and everything. So I do think that we do need to do something about the access to all these weapons that's out here. We can't just ignore that fact. There are too many guns on the streets.
Way
and
too
the
many
access
guns.
to guns is just way too crazy.
It is. And speaking of, how our kids have so much access and such an easy access to these weapons, a jury just voted to sentence Carly Gregg to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the first-degree murder and attempted murder convictions. And she's also got 10 years for evidence tampering. And the judge says that her sentences will run concurrently.
Oh, my goodness. And how old was she?
Carly is the 15-year-old who was charged with fatally gunning down her mother with a .357 Magnum in March.
Holy crap, man. We got to get the access away from these kids, man. I don't know, man. People think that their kids are okay with guns and they leave the guns around.
Exactly. I mean, her mother may not be here anymore, but the reason why her daughter Carly is getting this amount of time in jail is due to the security footage that mom had set up in the house. It literally goes from her walking in the door after school to pacing around, and you hear the gunshots go off, and then she's just pacing around like a normal teenager, like nothing ever happened. She went and sat down, scrolled on her phone. Like, it was just so much that she did to. I mean, it was literally just like, oh, well, it's just another day.
That is crazy, man. I mean, this happens too much in our society, man. And it's sad. It's sad. I hate to see anyone lose their life, but we have to lock these guns up, man. We cannot let these kids have access to these weapons. So what's the next story we got?
Donald Trump returned to North Carolina today, stumping in the southern battleground state that both Democrats and Republicans have been treating as increasingly critical.
So what's going on with the governor over there?
But he will not be campaigning. He'll be in Wilmington, North Carolina today, alongside the state's southern coast without Lieutenant Mark Robinson, the GOP gubernatorial nominee and one of the former president's top surrogates in the state. Following a CNN report about his alleged posts on a pornography website's message board, and it's coming out that, the information or the comments that he was posting on this pornographic website, the email address that was linked back to that was also linked to Mark Robinson's social media accounts that have been inactive for quite some time now. But the fact that, it was able to link his activity from a social media account to a pornographic site.
That's what he get, man. I mean, and then you're making the same. You, instead of using a dummy account to make the pornos, it's like you using your real thing that you use everything for social media.
Right.
That's dumb. And then he said he's a black Nazi.
Yeah, he did. He said he's a black Nazi. I mean, and this is all coming off of that same email address.
This explains a lot, because we always wondered, how do these black Republicans think, and this is exactly how. And that's crazy that he comes out saying that type crap. But I don't know, man. Right now they're saying that North Carolina is in play for Democrats because of this ignorance that's going on there. And
they're saying that this could also hurt Trump's campaign as well.
Yeah, because if he can't win that state, he's done. He's done. I mean, he's done. That would be over with. So Kamala and them, they're gonna do everything they can to take advantage of the failings that they are representing down there. The Republican Party has put in place, and it's just ridiculous, bro. You got a black governor, and he's just downing the whole race, downing the whole people, and it's just to me it lets me know how most of them feel about our own selves.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of crazy, bro.
It
But
is. I mean,
what's the next one?
That's crazy and all. But how crazy is it that the Secret Service is looking into Elon Musk's post on X that suggested it was strange
Yeah, man.
that no one attempted to assassinate President Joe Biden or Vice President Kamala Harris.
What's wrong with this dude?
This comes after Sunday's apparent assassination attempt as he golfed near his Florida club.
Man.
The second attempt on his life in barely 2 months is likely to further unsettle an election cycle already marked up by upheaval.
It's just crazy. Like I was talking about that Piers Morgan stuff when they were sitting on there talking about the rhetoric from the left is the reason why Donald Trump keeps getting these threats. It's Donald Trump. And most of these people, this guy voted for Donald Trump in 2016.
Right.
And they're trying their best to further themselves or distance themselves from this guy. But this guy is basically a Republican. He voted against Donald Trump because he felt that his first time in office was an embarrassment and he didn't want him in there anymore. The first person that tried to kill him was registered as a Republican, voted as a Republican, but just didn't like Donald Trump.
And the man that's suspected in this incident, Ryan Wesley Roth, camped outside of the golf course in West Palm Beach with food and a rifle for nearly 12 hours, according to court documents that were filed on Monday.
Goodness.
He's being accused of lying in wait for the former president, but the Secret Service opened fire first because they were able to spot him.
Yeah, man. Dude is lucky he was still alive, man. They didn't kill his ass like they did the last person.
Right.
He got lucky. But hey, he's a big person against the Ukraine war. I know he was doing a lot of stuff to try to get Americans to come over and help the Ukrainians. Dude seems like a kook. There was a lot of people who were saying that he was on the radar, that he was a weird guy and doing weird stuff. So we don't know how he slipped through, but we got to say, man, the Secret Service did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
Getting this guy out of there.
For people who are like Elon Musk suggesting that someone assassinate someone else.
Man.
I mean, that was just, even though he said it was an ingest post or.
Man, he's disgusting, man. Elon Musk is just disgusting, period.
I heard this thing on the news the other day. They were saying Elon Musk is trying to be in competition with Trump.
To say the most
to say outrageous things and to keep their names relevant to
media and everything else.
So that way people can continue to talk about them. But what both of them failed to realize is that all the stupid shit you saying is hurting your product.
It's hurting your brand. I mean, I read that Tesla's sales are down
44%.
I know that I even know people that I know personally are getting rid of their Teslas and getting Rivians. They're going away from that. The dude from Rivian, you know, we only know who he is. We don't have to.
Nope.
And that's the way we want it. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear your crap. We don't where you hear you going around spewing that black people are DEI hires.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wanted a Tesla bad, man. When Elon first came out, our new car, I would have got one if this dude wasn't talking all that trash. Yep. And I just I had to go a different option because this dude is just, he's disgusting, man. And I don't like anything that he's representing right now.
Can't put money behind or support behind someone or their brand.
No, man.
When you know that this is how they feel and think about society.
I'm good. What we got next?
Additionally, the maker of the party game Cards Against Humanity.
Oh God, I didn't put anything up there for that. I don't think
they also sued Elon Musk.
Oh, Elon.
SpaceX, accusing it of trespassing and damaging company-owned property in Texas.
Oh,
the lawsuit filed Thursday.
Are they next to him or something?
Asked for $15 million to cover damages, including what the company calls the destruction of natural vegetation.
Oh yeah, and that's a big part of those
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 rocket
those
launch.
rockets, they mess up a lot of stuff, man. And I believe the FAA was going after Elon Musk also, and he's talking about he's going to sue them in return because they're saying that he was doing some things incorrectly. I didn't read in to find exactly what was going on.
Yeah, but
this makes
apparently
sense.
Musk has been using this piece of land here for 6 months without the proper permissions. And that's why they're trying to sue him to get this money back for damages that he's caused to the land.
And then he's messing with the FAA. Like, they're going to ground him, man. He keep playing around. He's going to lose SpaceX. And then the only thing he's going to have is the satellite stuff that he's doing. So, man, I don't know, man. You got anything else? Or can we go to sports?
We can go to
Let's go to sports. Oh, you got the hot mess?
Hot mess,
My bad. Hot mess.
Get ready for the week's Hollywood Hot Mess with Iesha Rowan. Sponsored by...
Down there, so when people
they
see the worst going along.
Yeah, man. It's clean.
All right. We had a lot going on in the news this week, especially for hot mess. But the biggest hot mess this week is
the diddler. The diddler.
The diddler. That's what they're calling him. That's what he's been named. The diddler.
Oh my goodness. Poor
but he was arrested Monday on federal charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Diddy is on suicide watch at the New York jail. A shocking video of the porn star who claims that he was the rapper's sex slave has resurfaced online. Combs, 54, was placed on suicide monitor at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, which is standard for all high-profile individuals.
So, dude he's a voyeur. He likes to watch other people have sex live.
Right.
And
that's probably why he was recording his little freak off
parties.
That's what
I'm saying. That's what he likes to do. And he gets off on that. And then he brings in girls from different states and different places and guys. And that's against the law when you're doing that.
Because you're transporting people across state lines
to have sex. And you can go to jail for that, unbelievably, dog.
Yep.
But that's what's happening to that man.
So y'all better be careful on whose plane tickets y'all paying for.
Right. Because if she comes out and say he flew me out and then he made me have sex,
done. Because there's going to be no proof of her purchasing the ticket, only you purchasing the ticket.
So you're the one that's doing it. And these laws are basically put in place for pimping.
Yep.
To make sure that pimping doesn't happen, that because a lot of these guys were taking girls from different places and taking them to different states.
What was your favorite meme that came out this week?
Man, it was so many. I didn't have a favorite, man. I don't really get into this stuff where we pile onto these people while they're down and out. I understand he needs to pay for this and that he made a mistake and things are he's not going to be free anytime soon.
Right.
But I just don't like the pile on.
Judge did deny bail.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah. They denied bail twice.
He's going to get what he deserves. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to pile on him while everybody else is. I'm just not that type person. We see enough of he's going through enough right now. Dude's on suicide watch.
The suicide watch, they say, is standard for all of their high profile individuals. Because I'm pretty assuming they probably did Epstein and
didn't work because he killed himself.
Grizel Maxine or Maxwell, whatever her name is.
She's still good.
But these individuals were placed on suicide watch.
Yeah, I mean they always do that because you never know. But I you know what I'm saying, I don't know, man. We'll see how much time they give him. He's facing for this. It's going to be a huge court case. Let's see the case, man, and see everything that's happening. But I thought it was kind of crazy. You know, there's a lot of people out here are waiting for the other shoe to drop to see what other celebrity is going to be caught up in this.
Yeah, and that's thing that I've seen the most. This
everybody's
week
hoping. A
what
lot of people
celebrities are going to be next.
I seen somebody post
who he bringing down.
I hope it's Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know, like people are hoping. People like it's craziness.
Now I've seen the worst of the worst. Someone posted a photo saying, you know, it was Aaliyah in the photo, and they were saying, what if she was at that party and then left there and the plane crash was just a cover up. So it's just so much misinformation that's out there regarding him and this case. It's just
they are so happy about this stuff, man. It's sad how happy people are. But we did find out that the case that he had with
the Michigan man
was thrown out.
Dismissed.
It was dismissed. So
The 100 meal, he not gonna
assault
lose it.
against a
Right.
man was not true. I know a lot of people, they calling him, no Diddy, calling him gay,
Right.
but there hasn't been any proof of him being gay. I even seen a guy on the news the other day talking about I've never seen any clues that this guy is gay, but a lot of people are running with it. They love it. You know what I mean? So that's what they're doing.
Yep.
So yeah, man, Diddy, you are the hot mess this week.
If anybody wants to see more, go to 50 Cent's Twitter.
50 is so crazy.
He's having fun right now.
Man. He love to kick people when they down, man.
Love
All right, let's run the sports, bro.
comics. Or you
No,
wanna
sports. Let's do
you
sports first because it's on my thing first.
Okay.
Habari Sports.
All righty, man. Let's do some sports. We're here with Damon Ellison, and we're going to talk about the Cardinals today, man. Great win, great win against the Rams last week. We have the Lions upcoming. I'm going to be your host who talking about this though, like always, man. We got a lot to unpack today, so let's dive right in. Um, let's see here. The Cardinals made a statement win versus the Rams. The upcoming game is versus the Lions, like I said. Um, I think we have a good chance against the Lions. The Lions are going to be desperate for a win. I think they're 0-2, so they will be desperate to win. But the way we are playing defensively, we might be able to get our defensive line to get some good sacks. Maybe we can get Goff off his balance and we can get a good in. So we did beat the Rams last week, 41-10. That's very impressive. We're going to break it down a little bit. Cardinals versus Rams recap. Now, this was more than just the Cardinals getting their first win of the season. This was a statement, man. One that everyone in the league is paying attention to. For years, the Rams have pretty much whipped our ass. The Cardinals, especially under head coach Sean McVay. But last Sunday, the Cardinals flipped the script. They didn't just beat the Rams, they dominate them in every phase of the game. It was really, really nice to watch, man. Marvin Harrison went off. Man, quick 2 touchdowns to begin the game. From the very start, the Cardinals came out swinging. The defense was relentless, and the offense, well, they put on a show. 41 points against a Rams team that typically has the Arizona's number. That's no small feat. The Cardinals made sure they sent the message to both their division rivals and the fans at State Farm Stadium. Now, next week, man, the importance of the win is that we set the stage. We'll talk about that win and what that means for the team. For starters, it's huge for the fan base. State Farm Stadium is known for getting flooded with opposing fans, especially from teams like the Rams. But this time, the Cardinals defended home turf with authority. There was no doubt about which team was in control. The fans' attendance got to witness a complete performance, and hopefully, this energizes the crowd moving forward. Now, I seen those booths they had set up on the sideline. That was pretty cool because Run DMC, I guess he had a halftime show. That was pretty cool. But more importantly, this game was a message to the rest of the NFL. The Cardinals are here, and they're not the pushovers people expected. Everyone questioned their ability to compete this season, especially after a rough offseason. But week 2 showed that they can silence those doubters and make them into believers. Now, looking ahead to the Lions, let's turn our attention to this Sunday's matchup against Detroit. The Lions are no joke. They're a really good team. I think they made it to the playoffs and they had a really good playoff game. They've been one of the best offensive lines in the league. If last week's game against the Rams was algebra, this Sunday is going to be calculus for the Cardinals pass rush. But here's the thing. Arizona pass rush showed real potential against the Rams, racking up 5 sacks with Dennis Gardick leading the charge. He was all over the field, setting the tone for the defense. The question now is, can they keep it going against a much tougher opponent? I give us a chance against them, man. I'm going to say we're going to go with 24-14 is I'm going to Cardinals win. We are at home, so I do think that we can take care of it. I do think the Lions' O line is elite, anchored by Pernell Swell and a strong interior. They're not going to give up 5 sacks easily, so this will be a real test for the Cardinals' pass rush. If Arizona's front seven can disrupt Jared Goff and apply pressure, they'll have a shot to make a real statement, not just to their fans, but to the entire NFL. So this isn't just about racking up sacks, though. It's about forcing mistakes, shutting down their run game, and keeping the Lions' offense off balance. Detroit is coming off a strong performance, and they'll be hungry to bounce back after a tough loss to Seattle. So we'll let you know next week what how we feel about the game and everything, man. But it should be a really, really, really good game, and we're pumped about it, man. And I love watching the Cardinals, man, especially when they look as good as last week. This is a big game for the Cardinals, beating the Rams, but stringing together back-to-back wins, especially against quality opponents like the Lions, will prove Arizona can compete with anyone. The narrative around the Cardinals changes drastically if they can keep the momentum going. So, man, let's keep it going, Arizona, man. Good luck next week. And let's beat those Lions, man. All right, let's run the comic book corner, bro.
We forgot to talk about before you do that. The WNBA did announce that a 15th team will be entering into the league.
Oh,
they
okay.
announced the Portland, Oregon, as the 15th team.
Okay.
This is going in their right direction of getting the WNBA back to 16 teams. That is the goal, 16 teams.
Yeah.
Right now, this will be the third expansion team that has happened. So we'll see. I'm excited to see, along with Toronto and I think it was
Oregon. Oregon was
Seattle.
one of the teams. Yes. And I forget. I forget who else.
I think it's Toronto and Seattle and Portland. And I know for sure Portland is one and Toronto is one.
All right,
I'm
man.
liking to see this.
The last thing we want to talk about is WNBA postseason field is finalized.
Yep. Will Aja Wilson do a three-peat this year?
Man, the Aces are definitely, I think, the number 1 seed, right? So,
or we will see CC get a first ring in her first year.
No, that's not going to happen. Which is officially the WNBA playoffs are set. Regular season on Thursday ended, and now we got 8 teams ready to battle it out for the championship. Aja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces return to defend their title. First up, Aja Wilson and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces are back in the postseason and looking to defend their title.
And the Aces have Seattle tomorrow.
Yeah, the team to beat all season. They've secured the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Wilson's dominance has been full display, and she's got her eyes on bringing another championship to Vegas, but the path to the title won't be easy with plenty of hungry teams in the mix. Atlanta Dream earned final playoff spot. Now the most dramatic moment of the week came in the battle for 8th and final spot. 3 teams were fighting for the last postseason ticket. In the end, it was the Dream who earned that bid with the 78-67 victory over the New York Liberty. Man, I thought the Liberty was going to be better than that. Atlanta's young squad showed resilience, stepping up when it matters most. After falling short this year, they punched their ticket in and faced the top-seeded Liberty. Liberty are going to be in the first round. Okay. It'll be tough. This team has showed they can compete. Chicago Sky and the Mystics won't be in there. It wasn't good news, though, as the Chicago Sky and Washington Mystics both fell short of a playoff bid this year. It's a tough blow for these teams, especially after making the postseason last year. For Chicago, losing key players to the offense hurt their chances, and Washington couldn't quite find the rhythm they needed down the stretch. It's hard to see teams with high expectations fall short, but the nature of the game, you got to bring it every night. So, yeah, man, we'll be looking at the playoffs and checking everything out, man. I think it should be some great game. Caitlin Clark and them did get in as one of the final seeds. So I think they'll be playing. I don't know.
Indiana Fever will be playing Connecticut.
Okay. Who the
tomorrow
Mercury
at
got?
12. The Mercury will be playing Minnesota tomorrow at 2. And the Vegas Aces and Seattle will be playing at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
And then our first game of the day is going to be Atlanta and New York.
Sounds excellent to me, man. let's go ahead and get into the comic book corner before we can get up out of here.
Comic Book Corner. Sponsored by
Fish and chicken, where every bite is like a warm hug from home.
What was you gonna say, Ash?
She cut out the beginning of it.
Oh,
Oh.
Early. Mama sold fish and chicken.
My bad. I was a
all
little
right,
early.
man. So this week we're gonna talk about Agatha All Along. Yeah, man. Yeah, I thought it was a great first 2 episodes, bro. I really love the feeling. I love what Catherine Hahn is bringing to the character. I like her pettiness. I love the attitude
Her
that she
magnetic
has.
presence, it was just
Man,
woo!
she is, man. The show is just great so far.
And I like that that it's taken us a different way.
Mhm,
It's kind of
mhm.
given me Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the darker version of
yeah.
it that they did for Netflix. So
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of getting that mixed with a little bit of Bewitched
Mhm.
and all the other, like some Hocus Pocus is thrown in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So like all of the Halloween favorites that you like to
Mhm.
see around this
Yeah.
time, I'm definitely getting those vibes from Agatha
Man.
in these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of things that they're leaving untold right now, as we don't know who the teen is. A lot of people think it's the Scarlet Witch's
Mhm.
son, Billy, from the first WandaVision. We don't know for sure if that's who it is. Some people think that it's Nicholas Scratch, who could be Agatha's son, but he's reincarnated in someone else's body. We also have people talking about it's Mephisto. So
But I mean, we got the rabbit. Supposedly, the little rabbit that is going around in Agatha's
that's
house
supposed to be
is supposed to be
have
Nicholas
his-
Scratch.
Yeah.
So I mean, could we have the incarnation of Nicholas Scratch in the bunny and within the team?
That's why when he picked him up the in that one episode,
And the
I was
bunny
kind of
didn't-
like,
yeah,
what's going on here?
right.
But we don't know the significance of that right now. They're not giving us anything on who the teen is. They're not really telling us, but a lot of people have their guesses and what they think is going on. But man, we're going to take a deep dive into the latest in comic book adaptations and TV shows, when we always do. And this one right here is a favorite, man. And I'm really liking what Agatha All Along is doing. It is a spinoff from WandaVision.
Mhm.
The first episodes did drop, and there are a lot to unpack. So, what you think?
I mean, what I love about Agatha All Along is that it's not just a straight continuation of WandaVision.
Mhm.
It feels fresh, but it still keeps some of the quirky, nostalgic TV sitcom vibes
Yeah.
that we saw before. There's a heavy dose of mystery, and you can tell that there's something big going on beneath the surface. And then, of course, you've got these musical numbers from Robert Lopez and Kristen
Mhm.
Anderson Lopez, the team behind the original Agatha All Along song from
Yeah.
WandaVision, which also adds a unique twist. But this show isn't a full-on musical,
Yeah.
right?
No, man. It's good, man. It's a good vibe. The show has been great. The tone and the style of the show is awesome. I love Agatha All Along, and it's not just like you said, a continuation, but it's just awesome what they're doing, man. And it's we get to see a more in-depth look at the character and what they're doing. So
Mhm.
yeah, man.
And I like that Agatha's character so far has been manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
She's been shown her schemes that she's doing.
Right.
She's being deceptive. She's shown desperation.
Mm-hmm.
So many emotions are enthralled in those first 2 episodes
Yeah, man.
that is literally reminds you it's almost like a mom's world.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of how moms go through everyday life.
Mhm.
Like, you might start off the morning all happy and chipper,
Right.
but as the day goes on, you see the different emotions that she has take over
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day.
Yeah, man. It's just been great to watch, man. And I really am like following it so far. The first 2 episodes, really great. I saw some people talking about that they're upset that some of the people are gay and those things. But man, in today's age, we got to get used to this stuff. So for those who haven't seen it yet, Joe Locke's character is the teen who crosses path with Agatha at first glance. He seems like an ordinary guy, but we all know Marvel likes to drop hints early on. There's speculation that he could be tied to the larger Marvel mystical universe, possibly even Billy Maximoff, Wanda's son, reincarnated from alternate timelines. So what do you think on that?
I mean, I think that, the Billy Maximoff theory, it kind of makes sense, especially with how Marvel's been setting up the multiverse with their recent projects.
Yeah.
If Joe Locke's character does turn out to be Billy, that would indeed add an additional layer of emotional Agatha, I guess I could say, to Agatha's
right.
storyline.
But that's the beauty of the show. There are so many possibilities. Marvel loves to keep us guessing, and the breadcrumbs they're laying out are making fun for the fans to theorize. There are big events. Agatha is to figure out on how to undo her curse, how to figure out dark magic, how to figure out how to get on the road, and the larger struggle that's coming up ahead.
Yep, and I totally agree. And I love how the show is still connected to the events that did happen in WandaVision,
right,
without heavily relying on WandaVision solely to continue it.
You don't have to watch
the story,
right?
I mean, you don't have to have watched all of WandaVision. You could have just seen a couple of episodes, and if you did, there are plenty of Easter eggs and callbacks to enjoy. Plus, it looks like, we might be seeing some familiar faces from the larger MCU.
Especially with the multiverse being such a big focus in Phase 5. Agatha's power and knowledge of ancient magic could play a significant role in future MCU projects with Doctor Strange, the Avengers, or even something tied to Wanda herself. But for now, the show is setting up Agatha's journey, regaining her power and figuring out her place in a world that's quickly changing.
I mean, so what do you think that the show is heading towards after these first 2 episodes, and what should fans be looking out for?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see Agatha dive deeper into her magical roots. She's not just trying to escape. She wants to come out of this more powerful than ever. That's going to mean facing off against some dark forces, whether they're from witches or mythical entities we've met yet. Please, I'm interested to see how Joe Locke's character develops. There's more than meets the eye.
I mean, I agree. The mystery surrounding his character is definitely going to be a key moving forward. And let's not forget, we've seen how Marvel loves to throw in twists. So I'm expecting some big surprises as Agatha's stories unfolds, whether it's tying back into WandaVision or introducing a new element to the MCU. This show has the potential to really shake things up.
And that's all the time we have today, man. Comic Book Corner is our show. We go into the digs into all the comics. Agatha all along, yet what you are waiting for. The first 2 episodes are packed with magic, mystery, and plenty of clues about what's to come. We'll be keeping a close eye on Agatha's journey, so stay tuned for more breakdowns in the weeks ahead. I'm Damon Dipleen Ellison.
Iesha.
And we'll check you guys out, man, next week. We really appreciate you guys sitting around and talking to us. We appreciate Kiwi Juice Bar, Ari Danials, Republican, running from Statehouse, and everybody else that watched. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, follow button, hit that notification bell, get those live notifications.
Yes.
And if you have a topic that you'd like us to see us discuss, if you have a guest that you would like to see us have on, please email us, DM us, let us know, and we'll work towards getting those people on. We'll work towards speaking about those topics.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Peace out. See y'all next week. For us, that's great. To keep it.
For watching another episode of Habari Live. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updates on news, the podcast, and more. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit www.habarientertainment.com. See you next week. Peace.